There's a beautiful piece of art that shows someone in grief. The person is kind of humped over like this, but this whole abdominal area is gone. There's a hole. And many times that's the way we feel. We feel like there's a hole in the pit of our stomach and it doesn't clear up and you can't focus for a while.
My grandmother was the matriarch of the family. She was the glue that held us together.
Mila may have lived a short life, but she lived a full life, a very meaningful life. She has touched the lives of many people. She's a great loss.
Grief comes from the fact that we are attached. It's the idea that we as humans connect with a person. Those connections give us a sense of purpose. They give us a sense of who we are. And most of the time, they give us love. And when we're grieving and we lose that attachment, we have to go through a process of healing from that. Grieving is absolutely normal. It is part of what it means to be human. We're starting to figure out, how do I live my life without my loved one? This is a time period where we need to think about the roles that people have played in our lives. It can be who's now going to be in charge of the family. If you had a matriarch or patriarch pass away, somebody's got to become in charge of the family.
My name is Megan George Juarez. About 5 years ago, my grandmother Irene passed away. This was her house. She was brought home to this house as an infant. I grew up in this house, so I feel very connected to her. She was very gentle. She would always be there to help. She was the type of matriarch that would call us out. If you did something silly or dumb, she would tell you, but in the nicest way possible. We were close. We were very, very close. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to clean. She taught me how to be me. She was an excellent cook. She used to make, we call them conchas. I would beg for that. It's a soup. That was my comfort food. It still is my comfort food. That is the thing that brings me closer to her, even though she's not here.
I'm grieving my sister, my only sister, Milagrosa, who died unexpectedly during the height of the COVID pandemic. Well, Milagrosa and I grew up together in a small town in the Philippines, came from a simple family. Both of our parents were working for the government. One of the most memorable things about Mila is her being so generous. I mean, she was very selfless. She would buy food for me and my brother and leave nothing for herself. My brother, almost every weekend, Mila would be with him and his wife. And even when they started having a baby and so on, Mila was there from the start. She did it out of the goodness of her heart.
Her death was unexpected. My mom, sister, and I all went to Costco the day she passed. We called her and said, "Do you need us to pick anything up?" And she said, "Yes, I need coffee mate creamer." And I said, "Nani, that's gonna kill you one day." And she was like, "It's fine, it's fine." We went over to take her groceries, and unfortunately she was gone. The funeral was 2 weeks after her death. She had a rosary and a mass at Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, which was her home church and where I grew up. It was amazing to see everybody there. It still felt like she was with us because she brought us all together again.
Never did I expect that COVID would hit me hard. I didn't know about her having COVID until about more than a week after I think she had her symptoms. The same day that she passed on, I did speak to her like 2 hours prior, and she told me that for the first time, she was able to sleep without the oxygen. So I was assuming that she would really get out of the hospital. However, 2 hours after, I got a call from my brother who said that she was gone. I was in utter disbelief. I couldn't believe and accept that she was gone. Well, the sad thing about her passing was we were not able to practice the Filipino Catholic traditions. I couldn't go home because of the travel bans. Mila's husband was able to go home 2 years ago, and they gave her the Catholic funeral. We just had to grieve on our own. Now she's rested in the cemetery in our hometown. I plan to go home to the Philippines in the future to finally see where my sister Mila is buried.
Being the caretaker is who I am. It was easier to just kind of take charge and say, okay, this is what we need to do. You can grieve, and I'll do that later. It all hit, I want to say maybe 2 days later. I wanted to call her to tell her what was going on. I went, oh, I can't. She's gone. And then it hit. When my grandmother did die, I was only dating my fiance at that time. He was the one that I called. And I just remember when I saw him, he was that beacon of light. I don't show my emotions very well because I was always kind of, the strong one. And I didn't cry, and I cried. My fiance did get to meet my grandmother before she passed. She cooked for him. She told him all of the embarrassing stories. Shortly after, we were talking. I was like, did you like him? What'd you think? And she was like, he's pretty cool. I approve. It was important to have her seal of approval.
I was in denial. I couldn't believe and accept that she was gone. I wasn't blaming God or anybody else, but I was really just questioning why so soon and why her. It was a big loss for my brother as well. And as a matter of fact, my brother expressed to me a lot of regret for not having done something back for Mila. One thing I do every day, I include her in my daily prayers. So in my daily prayers, it's like I'm talking to her as well. I still have maintained connection with her, not just with her, but even with my parents as well. Including them in my prayers every day has really helped ease the pain and helped me go on with my life.
I wish she was still here. I miss her laughter probably more than I miss her cooking. Because I've mastered the cooking. I did. She's still a good role model to have. One of her lines was always, remember, we are ladies. And that was, if we go to a grocery store, to a concert, doesn't matter. We are ladies, and you will act like a lady. I hope that I carry on her legacy. My grandma was obsessed with teapots. She collected them, and they were all over her house. She gave me a teddy bear tea set one year for my birthday, and we would have tea parties. It was water and like Ritz crackers. Well, this year for Mother's Day, my sister and I decided to host Mother's Day tea here at the house in my grandma's honor. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. We had our antique tea sets that we came out. We made tea sandwiches and had a tea party, and it was so much fun.
I hope that they have a sense of healing and peace, and that as a part of that, they're able to remember and talk about the amazing people who've been a part of their lives. Because when we can do that, we keep those people alive. Their wisdom, their stories, their love. And then I hope they're able to walk with other people who are going through grief so that we can keep a tradition of love and that chain of hope and peace together.
I thought at that time, when death comes to your door, there's no bargaining, you've got to go. And that helped me also cope with losing Milagrosa. I think my having been able to say I love you to her on our last conversation, I think that made a big difference. It was easier for me to process the loss.
If I could say something to her today, I miss her, but I know that she's still with me, that she is somewhere, and she is looking down, and she's happy, and she gets to do all of the things that she got to do down here, just 10 times better up there. And then I'm a lady. Yes, that was her big thing. Remember, we are ladies. She was a wonderful lady. Just happy that I got to know her.